podcast 7.5, Into the Unknown, Solving Radical Equations. Warm up. Determine the value of x if possible. Okay, so let's take a look at 1. Okay, so we're going to square both sides. Square cancels the square root, so you're left with x equals 2 squared is 4. Okay, now let's go ahead and check to see if that's a valid solution. So the square root of 4 equals 2. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. 2 equals 2, so this checks. All right, let's take a look at 2. So we're going to cube both sides. Cube cancels the cube root, so you're left with x equals negative 2 cubed is negative 8. All right, let's now check to see if that's a valid solution. So the cube root of negative 8 equals negative 2. Cube root of negative 8 is negative 2. Negative 2 equals negative 2. That checks. Okay, let's take a look at 3. So we're going to square both sides. Square cancels the square root, so x equals negative 2 squared is positive 4. And let's check. So the square root of 4 equals negative 2. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. 2 does not equal negative 2, so this does not check. So x equals 4 is not a valid solution. All right, let's take a look at the next page. Getting started. Step to it. Strategies for solving equations using the properties of equality to isolate the terms containing the unknown are applicable when solving radical equations. Let's compare the algebraic solution of a two-step quadratic equation to a two-step radical equation. All right, go ahead and look over the worked example. All right, go ahead and mark those out. Activity 5.1, Solving Radical Equations. Let's look at different strategies for solving radical equations. You can solve a radical equation with a single variable term under the radicand, a radical equation with more than one term under the radicand. All right, go ahead and look over the worked example. All right, go ahead and mark that out. Raising both sides of an equation to a power may introduce an extraneous solution, so it's important to check your answers. Extraneous solutions are solutions that result from the process of solving the equation, but which are not valid solutions to the equation. The teacher will work 2a, 2b, 2c, 2e, 2f, and 2g on separate pages. All right, 2a, solve square root of 2x equals 3 for x and check. So we're going to square both sides. The square cancels the square root, so you're left with 2x equals 3 squared, which is 9. Divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X equals 4.5. Okay, so now let's check. So we have the square root of 2 times 4.5 equals 3. Well, the square root of 2 times 4.5 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 equals 3. So this checks. So x equals 4.5 is a valid solution. All right, let's take a look at the next equation. 2b, solve the cube root of 2x minus 2 equals 2 for x and check. So we're going to cube both sides. The cube cancels the cube root, so you're left with 2x minus 2 equals 2 cubed is 8. Let's add 2 to both sides. You get 2x equals 10. Divide both sides by 2, x equals 5. All right, let's go ahead and check. So we're going to plug 5 back into the original equation, so that's the cube root of 2 times 5 minus 2 equals 2. So then that's the cube root of 10 minus 2 equals 2. That's the cube root. 10 minus 2 is 8. So cube root of 8 is 2. 2 equals 2. So that checks. So x equals 5 is a valid solution. Let's take a look at the next. 2c. Solve 4 times parentheses x minus 6 to the 1/2 power equals 8. So first things first, we're going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so you get x minus 6 to the 1/2 power equals 2. Now, we're going to square both sides. Now, when you square it, you end up multiplying. So 2 times 1/2 is 2 divided by 2. So that's x minus 6 to the 2 divided by 2, which equals 4. 2 divided by 2 is to the 1 power. So x minus 6 to the 1 power equals 4, which x minus 6 to the 1 power is just x minus 6 equal to 4. Add 6 to both sides. So x equals 10. All right, go ahead and finish writing that down. All right, now let's go ahead and check. So we plug 10 back into the original equation. Okay, so then that's 4 times 10 minus 6 is 4 to the 1/2 power equals 8. 4 to the 1/2 power is 2, so that's 4 times 2 equals 8. 4 times 2 is 8 equals 8. So that checks. So x equals 10 is a valid solution. All right, let's take a look at the next problem. All right, 2D. Solve the square root of 2x plus 1 equals 5 for x and check. So the first step is we're going to square both sides. The square cancels the square root. So you're left with 2x plus 1 equals 25. Subtract 1 from both sides. You get 2x equals 24. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 12. All right, let's go ahead and check. So then we have the square root of 2 times 12 plus 1 equals 5. So that becomes the square root of 24 plus 1 equals 5, which is the square root of 25 equals 5. Square root of 25 is 5, so 5 equals 5. So that checks. So x equals 12 is a valid solution. All right, let's take a look at the next question. 2e. Solve for x and check. So first step is we're going to subtract 16 from both sides. So then you have 2x to the 1/3 equals negative 16. Divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. You get x to the 1/3 equals negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. We're going to then cube both sides. The cube multiplies times 1/3, so that becomes x to the 3 divided by 3 equals, and then we can do negative 8 cubed in our calculator. Is negative 512. And then 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that's x to the first power equals negative 512, which is just x equals negative 512. Go ahead and write that down. All right, let's go ahead and check. So that's 2 times negative 512 to the 1/3 plus 16 equals 0. So let's go ahead and do 2 times negative 512 to the 1 divided by 3 is negative 16. So negative 16 plus 16 equals 0. 0 equals 0, so that checks. So x equals negative 512 is a valid solution. All right, let's take a look at the next page. (2f), solve the equation for x and check. All right, so the first step is we're going to subtract 9 from both sides. So then you get the square root of 3x minus 1 equals negative 1. We're going to square both sides. Square cancels the square root, so you're left with 3x minus 1 equals positive 1. Add 1 to both sides. You get 3x equals 2. Divide 3 by both sides. So you get x equals 2 divided by 3. All right, go ahead and finish that up. All right, now let's check. So then we have the square root of 3 times 2/3 minus 1 plus 9 equals 8. Let's go ahead and just plug that whole thing, the left side, in the calculator. So then we have the square root of 3 times 2 divided by 3 minus 1 plus 9. Okay, so we get 10 equal to 8. 10 does not equal 8, so this does not check. So x equals 2/3 is not a valid solution. So we can say that x equals negative 2/3 is an extraneous solution. All right, go ahead and finish up 2f. All right, let's take a look at 2g. Solve the equation for x and check. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. You get x to the 2/3 power equals 4. Now we need to multiply or raise both sides, not multiply, raise both sides by the 3 divided by 2. So when you do this, you multiply, so that becomes x to the 6 divided by 6 equals, let's go ahead and do 4 to the third, 3 over 2 in the calculator. 4 is 8. So then x to the first power equals 8, so x equals 8. All right, go ahead and finish it up. All right, and let's go ahead and check. So we have 8 to the 2/3 plus 4 equals 8. Let's go ahead and plug the left side in the calculator. So 8 to the 2 divided by 3 plus 4. So 8 equals 8. So this checks. So x equals 8 is a valid solution. Let's take a look at the next problem. All right, go ahead and mark out 3. Let's take a look at number 4. Solve the equation for x and check. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and square both sides. The square cancels the square root, so you're left with x minus 1 squared equals x plus 1. Well, x minus 1 squared is x minus 1 times x minus 1 equal to x plus 1. So let's go ahead and FOIL. X times x is x squared minus 1x plus 1 equals 1x minus 1. Now we need to move everything to one side to solve, so we're going to subtract 1x from both sides, and we're going to add 1 to both sides. This all becomes 0. We're left with x squared minus 3x plus 2 equals 0. Now we need to figure out what numbers multiply to give you a positive 2 combined to be negative 3. So negative 1 times negative 2 is a positive 2. Negative 1 minus 2 is a negative 3. So our factors are x minus 1, x minus 2 equal to 0. So we set x minus 1 equal to 0, x minus 2 equal to 0. So x equals 1, x equals 2. All right, now we need to check. Let's check x equals 1. So we plug 1 back into the original equation. So that's 1 minus 1 equals the square root of 1 plus 1. Well, 0 does not equal the square root of 2. Okay, so x equals 1 is an extraneous solution. All right, let's check x equals 2. So we do 2 minus 1 equals the square root of 2 plus 1. So then you get 1 not equal to the square root of 3. So both of these answers are extraneous solutions. All right, go ahead and finish that up. All right, let's take a look at the next page. All right, activity 5.2, radical equations in context. The Beaufort scale is a system that measures wind speed and describes conditions at sea and on land. The scale's range is from 0 to 12. A 0 on the Beaufort scale means that the wind speed is less than 1 mile per hour, and the conditions at sea on the land are calm. A 12 on the Beaufort scale represents hurricane conditions with wind speeds greater than 74 miles per hour, resulting in greater than 50-foot waves at sea and severe damage to structure and landscape. Number 1. Consider the equation v equals 1.837 b to the 3 over 2 that models the relationship between wind speed in miles per hour v and the Beaufort number b. Solve the equation for b. Okay, so to do that, first step is we're going to divide both sides by 1.837. This divides and becomes 1. You get v divided by 1.837 equals b to the 3 divided by 2. And then we need to raise both by 2/3. So then this becomes v divided by 1.837 to the 2/3 power equals 2 times 3 is 6. So that's b to the 6 divided by 6, which is 1. And then this can be rewritten as the third root of v 1.837 squared. Equals B. All right, go ahead and finish that up. Determine the Buffon number for a wind speed of 20 miles per hour. So B equals the cube root of 20 divided by 1.83 squared. So we can go ahead and put that into a calculator. So cube root of parentheses divide 20 divided by 1.837 squared, which equals 4.9. The wind speed of 20 miles per hour is equivalent to 4.9 on the Buffon scale. All right, go ahead and finish that up. Let's take a look at, in medicine, body surface area, BSA, is used to help determine proper dosage for medications. The equation BSA equals the square root of W times H divided by 60 models the relationship between BSA, its square meters, excuse me, patient's weight W in kilograms, and the patient's height H in centimeters. Solve the equation for H. So we have BSA equals the square root of W times H divided by 60. And we're solving for H. So the first thing we need to do is square both sides. The squared cancels the square root. You're left with BSA squared equals W times H divided by 60. All right. Our next step is we need to multiply everything by 60. So we get 60 BSA squared equals 60 divided by 60 times W times H. Well, 65 by 60 is 1, so you're left with 60 BSA squared equals W times H. Divide both sides by W. So H equals 60 times BSA squared divided by W. All right, determine the height of a patient who weighs 90 kilograms and has a BSA of 2.1. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can use our calculator. So we're going to do divide 3,600 parentheses 2.1 squared divided by 90 is 176.4. So the patient who weighs 90 kilograms has a BSA of 2.1 is 176.4 centimeters tall. All right, go ahead and finish that up. All right, let's take a look at the next page. Go ahead and mark this page out. All right, the student will work 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. Go ahead and mark this out. The student will work 2, 3, and 4. Mark this out. All right, and let's take a look at the last page. The student will work 1, 2A, 2B, and 2C. And then you can mark this out. All right, go Go ahead and start working on your assignment and have a wonderful Wildcat day.